Nobody expected the ocean to be this deep. For decades, scientists believed they understood the limits of the planet. They believed the deepest trenches were mapped, the pressures calculated, the temperatures predictable. Then the readings came back and everything changed. A deep sea probe near the Puerto Rico Trench recorded something that should not exist for a fraction of a second. The temperature jumped from near freezing to boiling. It was not a volcanic vent. It was not a tectonic fracture. It was a localized moving burst of heat, a thermal spike that behaved like something alive. This single data point was quickly buried in technical archives, but it raised a question that still has no answer. What is generating power at the bottom of the ocean? Space is empty. The ocean is not. The ocean is dense, heavy, and full of energy. We do not understand the ocean floor is not a graveyard. It is active, it is violent, and it may be aware. When scientists first began listening to the deep ocean, they expected silence, or at least natural background noise. Earthquakes, ice cracking, distant engines. Instead, they heard something else. Sound travels faster in water than in air, which makes the ocean a perfect conductor of noise, and what it carried was disturbing. Listening arrays deployed by NOAA recorded rhythmic, consistent sounds, patterns that repeated, frequencies that did not drift, and origins that traced back to the hadal zone. The deepest trenches on Earth, a place where life was supposed to be sparse and quiet. The most famous of these sounds was called the bloop. Initially terrifying, eventually explained away as an icequake, but new recordings from the Mariana Trench changed the conversation. These new sounds were more complex, longer, heavier. They sounded metallic, like machinery dragging across the seabed. Some lasted for minutes, not seconds. Geological events release energy in a burst, then fade, but these sounds continued. They dragged, they pulsed, they repeated to generate sound loud enough to be heard across the Pacific Ocean. Requires enormous energy, more than a nuclear submarine sonar system. If a biological organism were responsible, it would need to be larger than a blue whale, far larger. But the deep ocean biology presents a problem at depths of 11,000 meters. Air-filled cavities cannot exist. Swim bladders would collapse instantly. So whatever is producing these sounds is doing so in a way we do not understand. Scientists have tried to label these signals as sensor interference, ambient tectonic noise, instrument drift, but the raw data does not support those explanations. The intervals are too regular. Nature does not operate in perfect 4-minute loops. The implication is simple and terrifying. The abyss is not empty, it is active, and the things making the noise are massive enough to shake the water column for miles. Pressure at this depth exceeds 8 tons per square inch. To survive that, you must be made of water or something stronger than bone. The idea that something is moving down there producing noise comparable to a jet engine challenges everything we believe about the ocean. People talk about megalodon, but sharks do not make metallic grinding sounds. The acoustic data suggests something armored, something heavy, something unconcerned with being heard. We are lowering microphones into a dark room and hearing breathing but refusing to turn on the lights. The silence that follows the noise is what frightens experts the most. Biology should not work at these depths. Life is built on proteins, folded structures that perform every function in a living body under extreme pressure. Proteins should unravel. Cells should fail. Life should dissolve, and yet it does not. The snailfish holds the record for the deepest living fish ever observed, found swimming casually at over 8,000 meters. It looks fragile, almost translucent. But it survives. It survives because of a chemical called trimethylamine. An oxide TMAO stabilizes proteins under pressure. The deeper a fish lives, the more it needs. But there is a limit. Calculations show that beyond roughly 8,200 meters, the concentration of TMAO required becomes toxic. Osmosis reverses cells rupture. According to every model, fish cannot exist below this line, and yet something does. During a descent into the Sirena Deep, a camera recorded a large moving shadow clearly swimming well below the theoretical biological limit. This suggests a completely different biochemistry life that does not rely on TMAO. Some researchers speculate silicon-based structures, others propose high-density lipids, materials that behave more like plastic than flesh. Then there is deep-sea gigantism in cold, high-pressure environments. Invertebrates grow enormous amphipods more than a foot long. Giant worms, armored shrimp in every ecosystem. Scavengers imply predators. You do not get massive herds without hunters. If the hadal zone has giant scavengers, then something larger hunts them. The energy required to sustain such life does not add up. There is not enough food. Marine snow is insufficient. Something else is feeding them. Perhaps predators that hibernate for decades, waking only for whale falls, or organisms that feed directly on chemical energy from the earth. The scientific community rarely discusses this imbalance, but the numbers do not lie. There is too much life and not enough food. The ground beneath them is worse. The hadal zone is not calm. It is a seam where the planet tears itself apart. Subduction zones recycle crust into mantle, releasing immense energy. Near the Mariana Arc lies the Daikoku Seamount, an underwater volcano containing a pool of molten sulfur. A lake of liquid sulfur glowing under miles of ocean pressure prevents the water from boiling, allowing temperatures to reach extremes. Superheated fluid erupts from vents building chimneys. Instantly, sensors near these vents record sudden thermal excursions. Wide area temperature spikes as if the ocean floor briefly opens. Any submersible caught in such a plume would be destroyed instantly. Entire biological colonies vanish overnight. Tube worms, blind crabs gone. Then there are gravitational anomalies, trenches with lower gravity due to thin crust and pockets of ultra-dense material beneath mapped by NASA appearing like bruises on the planet. These density spikes suggest mantle material breaking off and sinking capable of triggering tsunamis. Without warning, megaturbidites move cubic miles of mud in seconds. Underwater avalanches traveling at highway speeds, snapping internet cables, erasing everything in their path. Scientists rarely speak openly about these events because nothing can stop them. The ocean floor is unstable, violent, alive. But geology alone does not explain what came back on the landers. Deep-sea landers are built from titanium and syntactic foam designed to resist crushing pressure. They should return muddy untouched. Instead, some returned damaged landers from the Kermadec and Mariana Trenches came back with deep parallel gouges. Scratches in titanium smooth continuous lines. Mud cannot do this. Rocks leave jagged marks. These look deliberate. Bait cages have gone missing. Steel arms, bent cables snapped, thousands of pounds of force required. There are no currents strong enough at that depth. The only explanation is that something pulled. Sonar scans reveal long winding trenches in the mud. 3 feet wide, miles long. They turn. They loop, they meander. Geological slumps do not change direction. These tracks show behavior. If they belong to a living organism, it would be colossal. Soft-bodied, dragging itself through the sediment. 100-foot worm, a massive flat scavenger. Institutes rarely comment on these features. They have the data. The maps, the trails acknowledging them would require rewriting textbooks, so they remain silent. People ask why we know more about Mars than our own ocean. The answer is not just logistics, it is fear. The data coming back does not fit our models. Biology breaks its own rules. Physics behaves strangely, and interactions leave scars. Science is conservative. Peer review punishes outliers. Anomalies are labeled error and filed away not because of conspiracies, but because of uncertainty. The deep ocean is not a gradient. It is not just more extreme. It is a different world with different rules. We assume exploration is passive, that we observe quietly, but we are not quiet. We drop bright, loud machines into ancient darkness. Thrusters roar. Light's blind noise travels for miles to creatures evolved in silence. We are violent intruders. We are not bird watchers, we are trespassers. Mechanical failures follow a pattern. Tethers snap under tension, frayed, not cut. Something pulls back, frames return scarred, foam gouged marks like claws. The evidence suggests escalation. Defensive responses, curiosity turning to force. The ocean floor is the last true mystery, and it may not be empty. We may be sharing this planet with giants that we refuse to acknowledge. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and share me if you got some information about it.